This is the Samsung Galaxy Note 20 Ultra. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. My name is Demas Rusli, and in this video we're going to be talking about the brand new Samsung Galaxy Note 20 Ultra. So just a little disclaimer, this video is not sponsored by Samsung, but they've kindly sent over this Samsung Galaxy Note 20 Ultra for me to test out and have a look at before it gets released to the public. So the Samsung Galaxy Note 20 Ultra was just announced a few days ago at the Unpacked event on a live stream on Samsung.com. If you watched it, you would have seen that Samsung released 5 new products, which is the Samsung Galaxy Note 20, the Galaxy Buds Live, the Galaxy Tab S7, the Galaxy Watch 3, and the Galaxy Z Fold 2. But today we're going to be looking at the Samsung Galaxy Note 20 Ultra. So the Samsung Galaxy Note 20 Ultra has a Snapdragon 865 Plus chipset with up to 12 gigs of RAM and 512 gigs of internal storage, which can be expanded using a micro SD card from the top slot here. It has a 4500 mAh battery, which is quite big, and the display is a 6.9-inch dynamic AMOLED 2X screen, which curves over the edges, making it really nice to hold in the hand. And the screen has a 120Hz refresh rate, which makes it really smooth, just like the previous S20 series. This time, however, they've made the refresh rate adaptive, which means that it'll alternate between 60Hz and 120Hz depending on what you're doing on your phone. And it can recognize it automatically, meaning you'll save battery life and your phone can last longer. The design is super cool. It's very sleek and premium looking with this like satin finish on the back. So this right here is the signature brand new Mystic Bronze colorway, and the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra also comes in Mystic White and Mystic Black. And in the Galaxy Note 20, it also comes in Mystic Bronze, Mystic Green and Mystic Grey. So the camera bump is actually quite big and it's quite a prominent feature at the back of the phone, but we're going to be talking about the camera later on in this video, and I'm going to be going outside to take some sample photos and sample videos for you guys to see. But yeah, it's very cool, very nice to hold, quite lightweight if you compare it to the S20 Ultra, which is a little bit on the thick and heavy side. This is very thin and lightweight, and it's just very nice to hold in the hand. So I can't make a video on the Note without talking about the S Pen. So in this brand new Samsung Galaxy Note 20 Ultra, they've really improved the latency of the S Pen. So when you're writing, it feels like you're writing on paper and it's like no lag time. So they've improved it from 42 milliseconds down to 9 milliseconds, and the feeling of just writing on it is just so smooth. It's going to be so good for people who like to draw, like artists, illustrators, and just anyone who likes to take notes in general with handwriting. They've also improved a lot of the AI so that you can straighten up the text, and the S Pen also includes features like air gestures where you can like shake the S Pen to take a screenshot or create a roof shape, like a up arrow to go back to the home screen, and there's lots of other gestures that you can learn while you're using the S Pen. So yeah, so far it's been really good to use. I've only had this phone for today and we're going to be going out soon to take photos. So now let's talk about the camera. So the Samsung Galaxy Note 20 Ultra has 4 cameras, 1 on the front and 3 on the back. The selfie camera, which is the hole punch cutout on the front, is a 10 megapixel camera at f2.2, and then when you go to the back, you can see there's 3 really prominent and big cameras, where you have a 12 megapixel ultra wide camera at f2.2, a 108 megapixel wide angle camera at f1.8, and there's also a 12 megapixel telephoto camera at f3, which does 5 times optical zoom and 50 times space zoom. And yeah, we're going to be testing that out when we go out later on. So if you see on the back here, there's like this red dot, and they've also added this laser autofocus sensor, which should help with the autofocus, which should be a big improvement from the S20 Ultra. In terms of recording video, this phone can shoot up to 8K, just like the S20 Ultra as well. And of course, you can also shoot 4K and 1080p at a number of different aspect ratios. So now let's compare it with Samsung's 2 previous flagship phones in terms of size. So I've got the S20 Ultra here and also the Note 10 Plus. So you can see they're all quite similar in size, but the Note just has more of a square and rectangular shape rather than the curved edges on the corners compared to the S20 Ultra. Alright, so I'm actually so keen to test out this new camera. So let's go outside and take some photos so I can show you guys some sample photos and videos. Alright, so I went to Hickson Road Reserve in Sydney to take some sample shots and videos. I tested out most of the photo and video functions, so let's go through them one by one, starting with the photos. The fastest way to turn on the camera is to either double tap the power button or to long press on the button on the S Pen. Overall, I think the quality of the images straight out of the camera are quite impressive. All 3 cameras provided really crisp and sharp photos in auto mode, which are JPEG images, and this is what most people will be shooting on. If you want to be able to control your settings and have more flexibility in the edit, you can shoot in RAW by using Pro Mode and turning it on in the settings. But this is only available on the wide angle camera at 12 megapixels and not 108 megapixels. I really wish that you could shoot in RAW from the ultra wide angle and the telephoto cameras too, but it's not capable yet. Fingers crossed Samsung implements that in the future though, because that would be awesome. For the wide angle camera, if you don't switch on the 108 megapixel function, the stills are also at 12 megapixels like the other two cameras. When you switch on the 108 megapixels, the photos take slightly longer to process because of the larger file size, but it means that you'll be able to zoom in and crop your images a lot more. I recommend only using the 108 megapixel camera when you need to save space on your phone's memory and to save a bit of processing time. The f1.8 aperture on the wide angle camera allows for photos that have nice depth of field. And the autofocus is actually super fast with the new laser autofocus sensor, as you can see here. This new autofocus system is probably the biggest improvement in terms of camera from the last Samsung flagship devices. When it comes to the telephoto camera, I really like the look and the sharpness at 5x, but one thing I found out was that the quality of the image looks much better in 5x than at 4x or 3x, as 4x and 3x was actually using the digital zoom from the wide angle camera. The photos are still great and definitely usable up to about 10x and 20x, but quality definitely decreases at 30x and 50x. The AI in the camera helps a bit though and adds a bit of sharpness on these 30x and 50x images. Last of all, when it comes to photos, I also tested the low light capabilities of the camera. I compared shooting in normal auto mode with no tripod, the built-in night mode with a tripod, and also the pro mode with a tripod. I personally found for low light photos, pro mode with a tripod is probably best, followed by the built-in night mode. However, the night mode is definitely convenient because all you have to do is press the button and the phone will do the rest for you. The downside is that you just have less control and might get more grainy images because in pro mode you can set your ISO to as low as 50. You can also set your shutter speed at a maximum of 30 seconds. You also should try to keep your phone super still by using a tripod or resting it on a steady surface when taking low light photos. And a tip for shooting these photos on the Samsung Galaxy Note 20 Ultra is to use the S Pen to trigger the shutter so there is no camera shake. Oh, and here's a couple of shots I took using the selfie camera. Alright, let's now talk about video. When shooting video in auto, you have the option of shooting at 8K at 24 FPS, 4K at 60 and 30 FPS, 1080p at 60 and 30 FPS, and also 720p at 30 FPS. When shooting 8K, the videos get cropped in, but the quality and detail is actually really good. Here's the same 8K clip as before, cropped in at 4K, and then at 1080p. The Galaxy Note 20 Ultra also has a super steady mode which can help stabilize your footage, but this feature isn't available when shooting in 8K or 4K. Here's a comparison of what the super steady looks like at 1080p at 30 FPS versus the 4K at 30 FPS. It's quite useful for when you're recording and walking at the same time. I noticed when you click on the super steady button, the camera automatically switches to the ultra wide angle lens, which means that essentially it's electronically trying to stabilize your footage by recording at a wider focal length and countering the movements you make. Both 30 FPS and 60 FPS look great at 4K, the only difference is that you can edit the 60 FPS footage in slow motion later on. The camera app also has two slow motion modes, slow motion and super slow motion. Slow motion shoots at 240 FPS and the quality is still quite good in good light, and the super slow mo shoots at 960 FPS, but it does get quite grainy even in OK light. In slow motion mode, you can just continually shoot at 240 FPS, but in super slow mo, the phone automatically picks which part is slowed down, so you just have to time this yourself when you press the shutter button. Just like Pro mode for photos, the Samsung Galaxy Note 20 Ultra also has Pro video mode, where you can adjust the typical settings like ISO, shutter speed and white balance, and you can also change the way the mics are recording. Here are the 3 different tests of what the mics sound like. This is testing the rear mic of the Pro mode video. This is testing the front mic of the Pro mode video, and this is testing the Omni mic of the Pro mode video. You can also choose to shoot in 21:9 ratio for more cinematic looking footage, both in 4K and 8K when using Pro video mode. However, this can also be done in post when you're editing. Overall, I think all the camera features on the new Samsung Galaxy Note 20 Ultra will not disappoint. You will definitely be able to take great quality images and videos using all of the camera functions. Finally, I also wanted to test out the S Pen while editing, so when I got home, I edited a couple of the images using Lightroom Mobile and the S Pen. The editing experience was actually really good. The 9 millisecond latency really improved how accurate you can go when using the sliders, and using the S Pen helps when editing too, as it's much easier to see the sliders than using your fingers. Here are some of my edited photos from today's shoot. Alright, so before we end this video, the price for the Samsung Galaxy Note 20 Ultra starts off at 1,849 Australian dollars, and the Samsung Galaxy Note 20 starts off at 1,499 Australian dollars. So that's it. If you have any questions about the Samsung Galaxy Note 20 Ultra, drop them in the comments below. I'm definitely going to be making a few more videos in the next few weeks about this phone. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, and if you want to see more coming soon, hit that subscribe button. As always, thanks so much for watching, and remember to always push your creativity to the next level. Bye!